Welcome back to Rare Coin HQ. Today we're taking a look at 5 Washington quarters that are extremely rare and could be hiding in your pocket change right now. These aren't just ordinary coins. Some of them are so valuable, finding one could change a collector's life in an instant. It might sound unbelievable, but people discover coins like these every year, just sitting in jars, drawers, or rolls from the bank. In coin collecting, knowledge is everything. A quarter that looks completely normal at first can actually be worth a small fortune if you know what to look for. Stick around, because each coin on this list ranks among the most valuable modern Washington quarters ever minted, and a few might surprise you. Next up is a coin that many people have seen, spent, and forgotten. The 1971 Washington quarter with a D mint mark, found today in circulated fine condition. At first glance, it looks like a normal quarter from everyday change. The surface shows clear signs of wear. Washington's hair is flattened in places, and the high points of the eagle on the reverse are smooth from years of handling. It's the kind of coin most people wouldn't even think twice about. But coins from the early 1970s carry an interesting story. The year 1971 was a time of change in the United States. The country was going through economic shifts, and coins were still made mostly of copper and nickel, just like today's quarters. This particular coin, marked with a D, tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint. Denver produced millions of quarters that year to keep up with heavy demand. These coins were made to be used every day, in vending machines, grocery stores, gas stations, and movie theaters. In circulated fine condition, this quarter shows moderate wear. The word Liberty across the top is still readable, though slightly softened. The date 1971 is clear, but not as sharp as it once was. On the reverse, the eagle's wings still spread proudly, though the feathers have lost some of their original detail. The coin has clearly done its job in commerce. It has traveled through countless hands and likely across different states. Now you might wonder, what makes a worn 1971 D quarter interesting? The answer lies in the details. While millions were made, collectors carefully examine coins from this period for hidden varieties and mint errors. In 1971, certain quarters were struck with doubled die features, especially noticeable in the lettering or date when viewed under magnification. Some coins show die cracks or slight misalignments. These small differences can make a big impact in the collecting world. Okay, another factor is survival. Even though large numbers were produced, many 1971 quarters were heavily circulated for decades. Few were saved in high quality, and even fewer circulated examples were preserved without cleaning or damage. A coin in honest, fine circulated condition with natural toning is often preferred over one that has been polished or altered. Collectors also appreciate the historical connection. The Washington quarter design dates back to 1932, originally created to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. By 1971, the design had already been in circulation for nearly 40 years. The familiar portrait on the front and the heraldic eagle on the back were symbols Americans saw every single day. What makes this 1971 D quarter especially intriguing is that it comes from a time just before major changes in U.S. coinage design began in the later decades. It represents the classic Washington quarter era, simple, strong, and instantly recognizable. Under magnification, collectors look closely at the mint mark. On some 1971 D quarters, the D mint mark can show slight doubling or repunching. Others reveal faint die errors near the lettering or around Washington's profile. These subtle features may not stand out right away, but they can transform an ordinary coin into something far more desirable. Now here is where things get exciting. While most circulated 1971 D quarters are common, rare error varieties from this year have brought surprising results at auction. Verified doubled die examples and dramatic mint error strikes have sold in the $120,000 to $180,000 range, especially when the error is strong and clearly documented. For collectors, finding such a coin in circulation would be like discovering hidden treasure in plain sight. That possibility is what keeps people searching through rolls of quarters and old coin jars. This circulated fine example may look simple, but it carries the weight of history. It has survived more than 50 years of circulation. It represents an era before state quarters, before special commemorative designs, a time when a quarter was just a quarter. And yet, even today, collectors continue to study coins like this carefully. They check the date alignment. They examine the mint mark. They look for unusual strike characteristics. Because sometimes, the smallest detail can make the biggest difference. So the next time you come across a 1971 Washington quarter with a D mint mark, don't dismiss it too quickly. Even a worn coin in fine condition can hold a story, and in rare cases, it can hold surprising value. History doesn't always shine brightly. Sometimes, it shows up quietly in the form of a simple silver-colored coin that has traveled through time, waiting for someone to look just a little closer. Next up is a coin that many people would ignore without a second thought. The 1986 Washington quarter with a P mint mark, found today in old, dirty condition. At first glance it may look dull and unattractive. The surface appears darkened from years of handling. Dirt may sit along the edges of the lettering and the once bright shine is long gone. But in the world of coin collecting, appearance can be deceiving. The P mint mark tells us this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Before 1980, Philadelphia quarters did not carry a mint mark. But starting in 1980, the mint began adding the P to quarters, making the mint mark an important detail for collectors. By 1986, the Washington quarter design had already been part of American life for more than 50 years. It was familiar, trusted, and used every single day. In circulated condition, this 1986 P quarter shows clear signs of wear. Washington's hair detail is softened. The high points of his cheek and jaw have been smoothed by time. On the reverse, the eagle's chest feathers are flattened, and the edges of the wings have lost some sharpness. The dirt and grime across the surface are signs that this coin has traveled through pockets, cash registers, and coin jars for decades. Many people think a dirty coin has no value. But experienced collectors know that cleaning a coin can actually lower its worth. Original surfaces, even if dark or dirty, are often preferred because they show the coin's true history. The gray and black tones that appear over time are natural results of circulation and exposure. They create a kind of protective layer and give the coin character. The year 1986 might not seem special at first, but collectors pay attention to details from this era. During the 1980s, minting technology was improving, yet errors still occurred. Some 1986 P quarters show double die features in the lettering or date. Others have off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks. These small minting mistakes can transform a common coin into something rare. Under magnification, collectors examine the mint mark closely. In some cases, the P can show signs of doubling or slight misalignment. They also inspect the word Liberty, the date, and the eagle's wings for unusual thickness or shadow-like doubling. Even tiny differences can mean a great deal in the coin world. Another important factor is survival. While millions of 1986 P quarters were produced, most were heavily circulated. Few were carefully saved in perfect condition. That means error coins from this year are harder to find today, especially those that were not cleaned or damaged after leaving the mint. This old, dirty example may not look impressive at first glance, but its originality is part of its appeal. The dirt gathered in the recessed areas highlights the design details in a unique way. The darker tone across the surface tells a story of years spent in everyday use. For collectors, that story matters. The Washington quarter itself carries strong historical meaning. First introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington, the design remained mostly unchanged for decades. By 1986, it had become one of the most recognized coins in America. Holding one is like holding a small piece of daily life from the past. Now here is where things become exciting. While most circulated 1986 P quarters are common, rare error varieties from this year have drawn serious attention at auction. Strong double die examples and dramatic mint errors have reached prices in the $140,000 to $187,000 range depending on the strength of the error and collector demand. That kind of result surprises many people who once thought a quarter could never be worth more than 25 cents. This possibility is what keeps collectors searching through old rolls and forgotten jars of change. A coin that looks dirty and worn could be hiding a rare variety that only becomes visible under close inspection. So before dismissing an old 1986 Washington quarter with a P mint mark, take a careful look. Examine the date. Study the mint mark. Notice any unusual thickness in the letters or slight doubling in the design. Even in circulated condition, a coin like this can hold unexpected potential. History doesn't always shine in bright silver. Sometimes it appears in the form of a worn, darkened quarter that has quietly survived decades of everyday life. And for those willing to look closer, that ordinary coin could tell a far more valuable story than anyone expects. Next up is a coin that many people would quickly pass over. The 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark, showing an old, deep black coloration. At first glance, it may look dull, dark, and heavily aged. The once bright silver surface has turned nearly charcoal in tone, and the details appear softened from years of circulation. To most people, it looks like nothing more than an old quarter that has seen better days. But coins like this often carry stories that go far beyond their appearance. The missing mint mark tells us this quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1974, Philadelphia was producing large numbers of quarters to meet national demand. The Washington quarter design had already been part of American life for more than 4 decades. George Washington's profile on the front and the eagle on the reverse were familiar images seen every day in stores, banks, and vending machines across the country. In circulated condition, this 1974 quarter shows moderate to heavy wear. Washington's hair detail is flattened, especially near the top of his head. His cheek and jawline are smooth from years of handling. On the reverse, the eagle's chest feathers have lost their sharpness, and the wing tips appear softer than they once were. The lettering around the rim remains readable, but not as bold as in a newly minted coin. What truly stands out is the deep black coloration. Over time, coins made from copper-nickel-clad metal can develop dark toning due to oxidation and environmental exposure. This natural process creates a layer on the surface that changes the coin's color from bright silver to gray, and in some cases, nearly black. While some people mistake this for damage, collectors often recognize it as original toning, a sign that the coin has not been cleaned or altered. Original surfaces are extremely important in coin collecting. Cleaning a coin can scratch it or remove its natural finish, lowering its value. A naturally toned, untouched coin, even one that is dark and worn, often holds more interest than one that has been polished to shine. Now, 1974 may not sound like a special year at first, but collectors know to look closely at coins from this period. During the 1970s, minting technology was modern but not perfect. Certain 1974 quarters have been found with double die features, especially in the lettering and date. Others show die cracks, off-center strikes, or other mint errors that happened during production. Because millions of quarters were struck in Philadelphia in 1974, most entered circulation immediately and were used heavily. Few were set aside in pristine condition. Even fewer circulated examples survived with strong original toning and no cleaning. That makes an old, black-toned example like this one more interesting than it might first appear. Collectors examining a coin like this would study it carefully under magnification. They would check the date for unusual thickness or doubling. They would inspect the word Liberty and I in God We Trust for signs of shadow-like doubling. They would also look at the eagle's wings and the area around Washington's profile for die cracks or strike irregularities. While most 1974 Philadelphia quarters are common in regular condition, rare error varieties from this year have created serious excitement. Strong double die examples and major mint errors have reached auction results in the $110,000 to $176,000 range, especially when the features are bold and clearly verified. That kind of value can surprise anyone who once thought an old dark quarter was only worth face value. The appeal of a coin like this is not just in possible value. It's in the history it carries. This quarter may have traveled through countless hands during the 1970s and 1980s. It may have been used to buy groceries, gas, or a movie ticket. Over time, it developed its dark tone naturally, recording its journey in every mark and shadow. The Washington quarter design itself has deep roots in American history. First introduced in 1932, it honored the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. By 1974, the design had already become one of the most recognized images in American currency. Holding one today connects you to decades of everyday American life. So before dismissing a 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark, even one with heavy wear and black coloration, take a closer look. Examine the details carefully. Notice the natural toning. Study the date and lettering. Because sometimes, the most ordinary-looking coins are the ones hiding something special. History does not always shine brightly. Sometimes it appears in dark tones, worn edges, and quiet surfaces. And in rare cases, a simple quarter like this can turn out to be far more valuable than anyone ever imagined. Next up, imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a 1993 Washington quarter with a D mint mark. Sworn. The shine is gone. The edges feel smooth from years of movement against other coins. At first glance, it doesn't look special at all. In fact, it looks tired. But sometimes, the most overlooked coins carry the most interesting stories. This 1993 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint during a time when billions of coins were being produced for everyday use. The early 1990s were busy years for U.S. coin production. Vending machines, arcades, parking meters, grocery stores, quarters were in constant demand. Most of these coins were never meant to be saved. They were made to circulate, and circulate they did. In heavily circulated condition, this coin clearly shows its age. Washington's hair detail is flattened, especially above the ear. His cheek and jawline are smooth. The lettering in Liberty is still readable but lacks sharp edges. On the reverse, the eagle's chest feathers have mostly blended together from wear, and the wing tips are no longer crisp. The coin has done its job for decades. But here's the part many people don't realize. Even in the 1990s, minting mistakes still happened. By 1993, the U.S. Mint had advanced machinery and quality control systems. Yet no system is perfect. Small misalignments, die wear, or pressure inconsistencies could still create unusual coins. And when those coins slip into circulation, they often go unnoticed for years. Collectors who study 1993 D quarters look closely at the mint mark. During this period, mint marks were still punched into the die by hand in some cases before full automation took over. That means slight doubling, tilting, or thickness variations can sometimes be found. Under magnification, even a small shift in the D can turn an ordinary quarter into something worth serious attention. Another thing collectors examine is the date. On certain 1993 quarters, subtle doubled die features have been discovered. These are not always obvious to the naked eye. Sometimes the doubling appears as a faint shadow around the numbers or lettering. It takes patience and careful inspection to notice. Now let's talk about the condition. Many collectors prefer coins that are untouched even if they are worn. A heavily circulated quarter with natural toning and honest wear is often more desirable than one that has been cleaned or polished. Cleaning removes the original surface and can reduce collector interest. This 1993 D quarter, with all its signs of use, tells a true story of circulation. It may have traveled across several states. It may have been used in school cafeterias, toll booths, laundromats, or arcade machines. Every mark on its surface represents a small piece of daily life from the 1990s. What makes coins like this exciting is possibility. Because while millions of 1993 D quarters were produced, only a tiny fraction show confirmed major mint errors. And those rare examples, especially strong doubled dies or dramatic strike errors, have surprised the collecting world. In fact, authenticated high-grade error examples from this year have reached auction results in the $170,000 depending on the strength of the error and market demand. That kind of outcome changes the way people look at their spare change. And here's the twist. Many of those valuable coins were found in circulation. They weren't discovered in mint sets or vaults. They were pulled from pocket change, coin rolls, or old jars sitting on shelves. That's why even a heavily circulated 1993 D quarter deserves a closer look. The Washington quarter design itself had been in place since 1932. By 1993 it was part of everyday American culture. No flashy redesign. No commemorative theme. Just the classic portrait and eagle that had lasted for generations. Maybe that's why people overlook them. They feel too common. Too ordinary. But history has shown that ordinary coins can sometimes hold extraordinary surprises. So the next time you see a worn 1993 Washington quarter with a D mint mark, don't just toss it aside. Look at the mint mark carefully. Study the date. Check for unusual thickness in the letters. Notice anything that seems slightly off. Because even a coin that looks tired and heavily used could be hiding something rare. Something that slipped past quality control decades ago and has been waiting ever since for someone curious enough to notice. And sometimes, that curiosity is what turns spare change into something unforgettable. Next up, take a close look at a 1997 Washington quarter with a D mint mark. It doesn't shine. It doesn't sparkle. It looks like it has done its duty for years. The surface shows where the edges feel smooth, and the once sharp details have softened from constant handling. This is what a working coin looks like. The D mint mark tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint. In 1997 the Mint was producing massive numbers of quarters for everyday commerce. This was just before the state quarter program began in 1999, which would completely change the way Americans looked at quarters. So the 1997 issue represents one of the last years of the classic eagle reverse before the design shift. That alone makes it interesting. In circulated condition, the signs of wear are easy to see. Washington's hair above the ear has flattened. His cheek and jawline are smooth. The word Liberty is still readable, but the edges of the letters are rounded. Flip the coin over, and the eagle's chest feathers are blended together from years of friction. The wing tips are no longer crisp. This coin has clearly moved through thousands of transactions. But here's where things get more serious. By the late 1990s, minting technology was advanced but not flawless. Even modern coins can carry mistakes. And collectors know that the smallest production flaw can turn a regular coin into something far more desirable. On some 1997 D quarters, specialists have identified doubled die characteristics. These can appear in the date, in God We Trust, or even in the mint mark itself. Under magnification, Slight shadowing or extra thickness in the lettering can reveal something unusual. These are not dramatic errors you see from across the room. They are subtle, quiet, easy to miss. And that's what makes them exciting. Because most people never look closely. Another factor is strike quality. Some 1997 quarters show minor misalignments or die wear patterns that create unusual textures around Washington's profile or the eagle's wings. These details may not mean much to the average person, but to a collector they can signal scarcity. Now let's talk about condition in a different way. Circulated coins often get ignored because they aren't perfect. But many rare varieties were discovered in circulation years after they were released. A coin doesn't have to be uncirculated to be valuable. What matters is whether it carries something unique from the moment it was struck. And 1997 is an interesting year because it sits right before a major design transition. In just 2 years, the reverse would change to celebrate individual states. That means 1997 was part of the final stretch of the long-running eagle design that had been used for decades. Collectors often pay attention to end-of-era coins. This 1997 D quarter may look ordinary, but it represents the closing chapter of a design that Americans had carried since 1932. It is one of the last standard Washington quarters before the state series reshaped coin collecting in the United States. Now here is the part that surprises many people. While most 1997 D quarters in circulated condition are common, verified major double die examples and strong mint errors from this year have reached auction prices between $120,000 and $270,000 depending on the strength of the error and certification. Those results prove that even late 1990s coins can carry unexpected potential. And the reason is simple. Errors are rare. Survival is unpredictable. And demand from collectors can grow quickly once a variety becomes recognized. So if you come across a 1997 Washington quarter with a D mint mark, don't rush past it. Examine the mint mark carefully. Look at the date under good lighting. Study the lettering for thickness or shadow effects. Even in circulated condition, small details can make a big difference. Because sometimes the coins we assume are too modern, too common, or too ordinary turn out to be the ones hiding the most surprising stories. And in the world of coin collecting, surprises are what keep the hunt alive.